Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time, I'm still continuing my marathon with Freddy vs. Jason. This is a 2003 supernatural horror film directed by Ronnie Yu, and it stars Monica Keena, Jason Ritter, Kelly Rowland, uh, Catherine Isabel, Christopher Marquette, Brendan Fletcher, Lachlan Monroe, Robert Englund, and Ken Kersinger. In this film, in an attempt to free himself from a state of forgotten limbo, evil dream demon Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, devises a plan to manipulate undead mass murderer Jason Voorhees, Ken Kersinger, into slicing and dicing his way through the teenage population of Springwood. But when the Master of Dreams loses control of his monster, a brutal fight to the death is the only way out in this long-anticipated crossover between two of modern horror's most notorious killers. So, what did I think of Freddy vs. Jason? Well, I enjoyed it. It's not, I don't think it's like entirely a good movie, but I did think it was some decent goofy fun. It knows what it is. It it's consistent, and yeah, I think there's some fun to be had here. Um Let me get to the cast. Monica Keena plays Laurie Campbell. She's our heroine for the film. If I had to rank her among the heroines of the films, I'd definitely say she's above Lisa Zane. She's not above Kristen, Nancy, or um Alice, but or of the heroes, she's not as good as Mark Patton. Um, Jesse, that's his name. But I did still enjoy her in the film. I don't think she did a bad job acting. Apparently, she hasn't been in a ton of films. I don't know why, but I, yeah, I enjoyed her here. Uh, Jason Ritter plays Will Rollins. He was put into a mental asylum because he said something about Lori's dad killing her mom. He's Jason Ritter. A lot of people will recognize him for maybe his voice in Frozen, uh, or maybe no, wait, no. He's in Frozen too. He was in The Wicker Man. He was in The Tale. Um, and most well known for Gravity Falls, where he played Dipper. I liked him as Dipper. I think he does a good job here too. He's an interesting character. Kelly Rowland plays Kia Watterson. She's a friend of Laurie's. Um, I have always loved Kelly Rowland in this film. I know a lot of people think that she's annoying. She's the black character. Um, and that she's stereotypical or whatever, but that's kind of why I like her. She kind of I like that she's like a shit talker. I think Kelly Rowland is playing this role well. She did what she was given. She has some pretty funny comebacks at times. Like I enjoy this character. I like this character, Sumi. Especially what she says to Freddy, which I'll mention. Catherine Isabel plays Gibb. She's a another friend of theirs. I love Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps, from um, Josie and the Pussycats, American Mary, um, Bones, the Carrie remake. She's been in a ton of films, um, and I do really enjoy her as a scream queen. Christopher Marquette plays Charlie Linderman. He's kind of the nerd of the group. He's fine. Brendan Fletcher plays Mark Davis. He's a friend of uh, Will's that's in the institution as well. Um, I enjoyed him. As always, I love Brendan Fletcher. He's in Rampage. He's in Violent Night. He was one of the best parts of Violent Night. Um, he's in the Ginger Snap sequels, Alone in the Dark. He's in a lot of Uwe Boll films. He's in the Final Cut. Yeah, I just really enjoy this actor whenever I see him. Lachlan Monroe plays Deputy Scott Stubbs. He's a cop that ends up helping the group at one point. he's a Canadian actor, so he's in this, and I'll get to that. Um, the I I don't mind Lachlan Monroe. He works. Um, Robert Englund plays Freddy Krueger. I think he plays a much better version of Freddy Krueger than what's in Dream Child or Freddy's Back, or excuse me, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Um, and I think he's actually doing a lot more in the role. And again, the makeup looks a lot better. And Ken Kersinger as Jason Voorhees. Again, he doesn't talk because he's Jason Voorhees, but I think he has the right physical presence. He does some pretty cool, um, like physical shit with the character. But here's the thing with this film, am I going to say that this film is scary? No, it's not. I don't find really any of the Nightmare films scary anymore. I'm not. Maybe it's that I've seen a lot of them so many times, but especially 1, 3, 4, and New Nightmare, I've seen multiple times. But when it comes to a film like this, what are people going into it expecting? Sorry, I keep readjusting. What are people going into expecting? I would say they're going in expecting a fun slasher with some fun kills, some interesting characters, maybe a main character that you want to root for, fun villains. And I think for the most part, this gets that down. There are a lot of issues, and I'll get to those, but I do want to talk about what I enjoyed about the film. Um, I actually do enjoy this main character, even though she doesn't have like a ton to her. Um, she's still works as a lead. Um, and I think Monica Keena again does a pretty good job playing her. She has some decent emotional moments. It feels like an actual character rather than just a throwaway. Because oh, we need a female lead because it's a Nightmare on Elm Street film, and the one that people disown the most is the one where there's a guy, which I wouldn't say that's that movie's issue, but um, no, I don't mind the main character. I like her. Um, even though I don't know a ton about her, I just know a little bit about her backstory. I still liked her. Um, the acting all around is an improvement on a lot of the series, especially one um in Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead, I think, had the worst acting in the entire series. Because I can't remember anybody in that film that I actually liked acting wise other than Yaphet Kotto, but that's kind of a given whenever you put him in a movie, he's going to be great. But Lisa Zane was bad. Most of the cast was bad other than the one girl, Lisa Dean, something like that. She was fine, but this film, I can't remember any real bad acting. There's people that will say that Kelly Rowland's acting was bad, and I'm not just saying I like Kelly Rowland's acting because I like her music. That has nothing to do with it. I think she played her character well, even though it's taking a lot in my mind to buy her as a high schooler because I think she was about 24 when she was in this, along with a lot of the cast. I think they were in their 20s. And almost nobody looks like a high schooler. I guess that's a small con with the film. Some people see that as a nitpick, but that is a big casting issue. Um, but overall, I enjoyed her, and the acting from pretty much everybody is pretty all right. Especially Robert Englund, who again is trying to again, he's closer to like Nightmare 4 levels of like acting where he's still menacing to a point, but he's kind of letting loose. There are a lot of goofy fucking things that happen in this movie, but for the most part, because the tone that's set up gives way to more goofy stuff, it doesn't stand out as much, and I can just have fun with it. When it's a film like Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare or The Dream Child, where you have super serious topics like abortion death of the father of a child, an unborn child, uh, child abuse, rape. When you have subjects like that in a movie that's like overall pretty goofy and like not taking itself that serious, then it really can feel off, and it did for me with both Dream Child and Freddy's Dead. With this film, again, it's playing into more of a like fun, like early 2000s slasher tone, like a lot of slashers at that time. But here's the thing. The characters aren't unlikable, which is a thing I can say for this film. I enjoyed a lot of the characters. Um, and I don't think I at no point was I like, oh, I want this character to die. Like Kelly Rowland's character, some people say is like so annoying that they want her to die. I don't know. I like shit talking characters that aren't too much, and I don't think she did too much. If anything, if any actor I wanted them to do more, it would be Catherine Isabel, because she is kind of just there to be like, oh look, it's Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps from a couple years ago, and then she just kind of dies. Um, but like it's gonna happen. I kind of wish she was the star. Even though I do like Monica Keena, I do love Catherine Isabel a lot. Another thing, the kills. The kills in this film are pretty fucking brutal and fun. There's the freaking bit with again, I'm talking spoilers, it's in the title. I'm the bit at the beginning with the guy getting stabbed a fuck ton of times and his heart basically falling out and then getting bended in the bed. That's sick. The fucking raver guy getting stabbed through and then like the machete going through him and then into Catherine Isabel's character and then him getting flung into the cornfield. Uh um the frickin' Kelly Rowland bit where after she's like calling Freddy all this shit, like she's shit talking Freddy, and I'm sorry. The people who are mad at this scene because she uses the F word, I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to get demonetized. Or not demonetized. I don't want to get taken down because I said the F word even though I'm gay. Um the if you're mad at that, I'm sorry, that's dumb. It's a movie. She's talking to a character in a movie. If you're mad at her in reality, then you just need to grow up. Um, but she's shit talking him, saying some really funny shit, and then Jason like slams into her with the fucking machete, and she flies into a tree dead. Like that was fucking sick. Um, again, there's gore during the fights between Freddy and Jason that are actually pretty fun, pretty well choreographed actually. Like lots of blood, lots of guts, and all that. Like exactly what you want in the movie. And I, yeah, like I think it works. I think it does exactly what it's supposed to as a fun, goofy slasher movie. And a team up. Um, if I had to say like things that I wasn't a fan of, um, while I do think the acting in the film is pretty good from most of the cast, I would say that a lot of the characters are pretty two-dimensional. Outside of Monica Keena's character, Kelly Rowland's character, Jason Ritter's character, I wouldn't say a lot of the characters have much to them. They're kind of bland, and I even though I didn't want them to die, I didn't really give much of a shit about them. Even Brendan Fletcher's character, the most I know about him is that he escaped from the mental ward. Catherine Isabel's character, I all I know is that she sleeps with guys that she doesn't actually like that treat her like shit. That's about all I know about her. And I would say that is a bit of a letdown that the characters aren't a bit more interesting. The CGI at some points is not great. Uh, And some of the like video effects that are used, there's a lot of like process slow motion, which is where you get like that type of slow motion instead of where they shoot it at a high frame rate and then slow it down. This is clearly like they shot it in 24 frames like the rest of the movie, and then it looks all jaggedy like that. That's what that means. When you film something in a higher frame rate and slow it down, you're lowering the amount of frames per second. So if you shoot it at 60 frames, it'll look a lot smoother. Usually you're shooting like 120 or 144 or something like that. But you know what I mean. I'm not a fan of that. It looks really cheap at a lot of points. Um, there's some weird like filters that happen. There's like a dream sequence that Monica Kena's character is in. I keep calling her Monica Kena. Lori is in where she sees Jason drowning, like she's seeing Jason's backstory apparently. And then Freddy pops out of the water and then it turns red. It looks really weird and his makeup looks weird. It looks like they redid the makeup to make him look like a straight up just straight up like Satan, which is weird. Um the film could have used more nightmare sequences, and the nightmare sequences that are here are pretty meh, I will say. They are pretty bland. That's one thing I can give Dream Child over this, even though the Dream Child nightmare sequences are very much cut down. They're still more imaginative than these. Like the one that Catherine Isabel is in, she's like running around a boiler room yet again, nothing much new. And then Jason kills her before Freddy can get to her. The one that Brendan Fletcher's character is in, he's just like walking into a bathroom and seeing his dead brother, played by Zach Ward, by the way, another Canadian actor. I will talk about that in a sec, but yeah, the nightmare sequences are kind of blah, like very like I think they're the lamest nightmare sequences in the entire series. Even though the ones in at least the ones in New Nightmare, there was like some imaginative or imagination to them. But yeah, these are pretty blah. But there's a lot of Canadian actors in this, by the way. Um, freaking Catherine Isabel, Christopher Marquette, Brendan Fletcher, Lachlan Monroe, Zach Ward. Like I noticed a ton of like that's quite a few like Canadian actors in one movie just randomly. So I'm guessing this was shot in Canada. That makes sense to like cut down on costs, even though this is the most expensive Nightmare film in the entire series. But still, it was like, damn, the like I just kept noticing. I was like, wait, that person's Canadian. That actor's Canadian. And in Canada, when you film something and use their tax credits, like one of the rules is that you have to have at least a certain amount of Canadian actors in it, which makes sense, I guess, because how else are they getting work? Um, and another thing that the film could have improved on the scares. The scares are pretty lame. A lot of them are like early in the film, especially, there's a lot of like fake out scares. And I know the Nightmare series hasn't been huge on jump scares for the most part, but there were at least some that worked pretty well. There's some in New Nightmare that I think are pretty well done. Um, but yeah, like overall, I do still enjoy the film as like kind of a guilty pleasure in a way, but I would I say that it's one of the best in the series? No. I I'd probably put it under no. I'd probably put it like slightly above Dream Child or like neck and neck because I do have a lot of issues with Dream Child and how it goes about the mythos and all of that. But this one I think was way more tonally consistent, which is a big thing for me, and I just had more fun with this than Dream Child. But yeah. That was my review of Freddy vs. Jason. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door.